Hi everybody, Mr. Kelman here. Got my man Ozzy in the pouch here, so if he wakes up, I apologize. Um, so in this video series, because these are going to be little 5-minute videos, we're going to talk about kind of some of the main contexts and themes for our first period, 1492 through 1607, and um, you may be guessing already why those dates are the bookends for this period, but you'll certainly know by the end of this unit. So this is a story about the colonization of the Americas by mostly France, Spain, and England during the end of the 15th and especially the 16th and early 17th century. It's a story about the exchange of the plant and animal species that grew in each of those continents and the way that that shaped the global economy, and the effect that it had on the indigenous people of the Americas, the people who were here first for thousands of years before Europeans got here. And that's a story, among other things, of tremendous violence, as this picture on the right kind of suggests. So some of the big ideas that we're going to talk about throughout this unit that I just want to lay out here. The first is the idea that, and this is kind of pushing back at a perception that I think sometimes is put out there by historians that, that the Americas were discovered by Europeans, meaning that there weren't really people, or to the extent that there were people, there weren't very many people, or the people that were here weren't doing much. And nothing could be further from the truth. And so I think a really important place to start in this unit is the understanding that the indigenous societies of America were numerous, they were complex, they were diverse, right? They weren't all the same, and they were highly developed. There were indigenous societies that had technology or systems of government or other kinds of learning that were rivaling what was going on in Europe. So the idea that this was an empty continent is, flat untrue. Second idea is that this whole process of quote unquote discovery and colonization of the Americas by Europeans was driven by an economic system that was developing in Europe at this time. That was global, right? It involved different countries trading with each other, and it required both competition among those countries for their own interests and expansion to get more resources to feed and provide for a growing population. And this is really the beginning of an economic system that still exists and almost everywhere in the world today, called capitalism. But during this time period, this economic system was really the driver of the expansion that led to colonization. The third important point is that this whole story is one of the greatest human catastrophes the world has ever known in terms of the scale of destruction and loss of human life. The numbers are very hard to pin down, but some historians have estimated that 90% of the population of the Americas was dead as a result of European colonization by 1600. Some have put it, even higher. So we're talking about millions or tens of millions of people in what some have called a genocidal episode in history. And this is also the beginnings of the African slave trade, which led to the enslavement of tens of millions of African people. The last important point is just to look at the three major colonial powers and to notice some similarities and differences between them. That Spain was really trying to Christianize and control indigenous people, while France was trying to build trade relations with indigenous people. And Britain was really trying to take their land either by displacing them or killing them.